What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to the video. Today we're going to be talking about Wealthsimple Plus and answering the question, when is it worth paying for the subscription? Is it worth paying for the subscription? What is the math behind this? And I'll tell you, there's some very fascinating findings that I have uncovered that I'm very excited to share with you. It's not as simple as you may think. But yeah, a lot of you guys are familiar with Wealthsimple Plus already. If you aren't, here's a thing right from their website. For a measly $10 per month, you can buy and sell all the US stocks you want with no commissions, no foreign exchange fees. We're thrilled to announce this Plus feature, You get a bunch of new features, which is a USD account, no foreign exchange fees, unlimited price change alerts, and instant deposits up to $5,000. Essentially, my takeaway from this is that what you are paying for is a US dollar account. Now, to clarify, just for those very beginners on Wealthsimple, Wealthsimple is a commission-free platform, meaning you don't pay a little percentage when you buy and sell stocks, but there can be a Forex conversion fee, a currency conversion fee, when you go out and buy US securities. So no commissions, but US stocks, you can incur, in fact, you do incur, a 1.5% currency conversion fee. Just to clarify what I mean by that, if I go out and buy, TELUS stock, which is obviously a Canadian stock, I buy TELUS stock, I pay 0% in commissions, I pay 0% in currency conversion fees. If I sell TELUS stock, zero. You do all you want. That's a great perk to this platform. However, at this point, if you were to go out and buy shares of Google, I know the ticker for Google is not G, but Google is obviously an American stock. It trades on the NASDAQ, I believe it is, or the New York Stock Exchange. It doesn't trade on the TSX. You actually have to pay a 1.5% conversion fee to essentially take your Canadian dollars, convert them into US dollars, to therefore go buy this on the exchange. If you went and sold Google stock, well, then you'd pay another 1.5% fee on the way out, essentially bringing your total costs, if you will, again, not in commissions, but in currency conversion fees, to 3%. Now, this Wealthsimple Plus feature says for $10 a month, you can bypass that. And I mean, that's a pretty fascinating, thing. Very interesting. I know a lot of our viewers probably do subscribe to Wealthsimple Plus. We're going to go through some math in just a second, but I'll pop up on the screen. This is what it looks like, by the way. I really wanted to test this out. I haven't used Plus in the past, but I did their little trial just to make sure. You literally get both accounts. So as you can see with my personal account, you have your Canadian dollar account, and you essentially have a second account, which is strictly a US dollar account. If you had a TFSA, you'd have a Canadian TFSA and a US TFSA. If you had RSP, yada, yada, yada. Now, very important that I'd like to point out here. This is actually critical in our decisions. If you do subscribe to Wealthsimple Plus and you essentially unlock this US dollar trading account, you still have to pay an initial conversion to get your Canadian dollars into the US dollar account. Let me say that again because it's very important. I deposit, let's say $10,000, into my Wealthsimple account. I link it up to my TD, Royal Bank, whatever it is. I have $10,000 Canadian. I want to go put it in this Wealthsimple. I have to convert that $10,000 to the USD account, which I've unlocked via Plus, but you do still pay the 1.5% on that initial conversion. Here's an exact slide, by the way. You'll only pay the 1.5 exchange conversion fee when you initially convert to your account, but not each time that you trade. Now that may sound minimal, but it actually comes back into play quite a bit. An important call out as well is that you cannot at this point directly deposit USD into the account. So for example, with Questrade, if you have a US dollar bank account, you can go US dollars directly into the account as US dollars. With Wealthsimple, you can't quite do that at this point. You have to do that stepping stone where you go Canadian dollars into the account, 1.5% conversion fee into the US dollar account. It looks like on a personal account, I'll put up a screen for you guys as well. It is available on taxable accounts, but not TFSAs and RSPs. It says here, USD deposits and withdrawals at this time are only available for personal DIY trading accounts. Meaning, if you invest with the TFSA and RSP, which I know is a lot of you guys, you do still have to do this stepping stone format, and you still get hit with this 1.5% fee. Now, why is that important? Well, let's get to the meat of this video. I was initially under the impression that for $10 a month, the simple math that you have to ask yourself, if this is worth it, is do I pay more than $10 a month in US conversion fees If I do, Plus is worth it. If I don't, Plus is not worth it. I stand corrected on that. And there's more math that comes into it because basically, I hope this is on screen, but the math comes out to, I believe it's $776, something like that. If you took $776 in trading volume in US stocks, you times that by 1.5%, which is their fee, that would come out to about $10. You get where I'm at right now? You guys can double check my math there. But essentially, if you trade over $776 in a month in US stocks, you would essentially pay $10 in fees. Now, if you paid more than that, well, then Plus is probably worth it. Not quite. And it's because of what I mentioned there about the initial conversion. So let's run through the math here and I'll explain exactly why. On this little graph, I'm going to put here our initial deposit. Okay, so this is action number 1. I'm going to put, for example, buy, when we buy our first stock. I'm going to put here, let's say sell. Let's say we make a sell for a certain stock. And then I'm going to put here withdraw, like literally taking money, out of the account, if you will. So let's assume I'm an investor who has $10,000 and I want to go buy shares of Google. Okay, Google is obviously a US stock, but I have $10,000 that I want to invest in Google. Well, on the basic tier, which is what everyone kind of starts with, essentially when I deposit $10,000 Canadian into my account, that's completely okay, right? I can deposit $10,000, I look at my account, I have $10,000 Canadian, there's no fees to nothing because this is a Canadian dollar account. Essentially, I incur 0% fees on the initial deposit. With Plus, for example, if I were to then put in $10,000 into my account, all allocated towards Google stock, again, because you do have to pay that initial conversion fee to get it into US dollars, I actually pay a 1.5% conversion fee up front, right, to get that into the account. This is about $150 in our example in trading fees. All is good. Now we move on to our next action, which is let's assume I want to buy $10,000 worth of Google stock. Well, in the basic plan, I can take my $10,000, I can pay the 1.5% fee, which again is $150 in trading costs. Whereas with Plus, I can buy this with zero Forex conversions, zero currency conversions. Obviously this would be zero. That's great. If I were to sell Google stock, again, you get hit with the 1.5% fee. Whereas Plus, you get the perk of paying no fees. Now, what's interesting is that let's assume I wanted to withdraw this money. I made a good trade, whatever the case is. I want to take money out of Wealthsimple, hit it back to my bank account, go spend it wherever I want. With the basic plan, you pay $0 or 0% conversion fee, $0 to withdraw, to essentially take your money out, because again, this is all Canadian dollars. Whereas with the Plus, you actually do pay, similar to that initial conversion fee where you're taking money, putting it into this account. When you want to take money out of your USD account, well, you have to convert that back and you are hit with a 1.5% fee on the back end. Okay? Now, in reality, this is let's just put this like a bearish case scenario for Plus, because you're probably not going to, make a trade within a month and then want to withdraw all your money. The goal is that you'd want to invest over the, number of years. But nevertheless, this is just it showcases it really well, because what's fascinating about this is that the total fees you paid in this scenario is 3% or $300. The total fees you paid in this scenario is 3% or $300. It's just the flow of where you pay it is jiggled around, right? In this one, you paid it up front to convert. This one, you paid it per trade. Now, obviously, the caveat to that is that if you make a lot of trades within these periods, like let's say you're doing a lot of buys and sells, well, on the basic plan, you're going to be hit with $150, $150, $150, $150, whereas here, you'd have the perk of free trading. The point that I want to illustrate with this is that I used to think it came down to a dollar figure. Like, hey, how much money am I going to be buying in US stocks? If it's over this amount, this makes sense to me. What I've come to realize is that it's not a dollar figure situation, because as the dollar figures scale, you still have to pay this initially. You're still paying, even if it's a $100,000 trade, you're still paying that initial fee. It comes down to a frequency of trading. How frequently are you going to be buying and selling US stocks? If you're a more frequent trader, absolutely this can make sense. If you're a less frequent trader like myself, let's say you're a buy and hold investor, right? So, which I assume a lot of, I guess I shouldn't assume, we may have swing traders that follow the channel and people that want to be more active on Wealthsimple. But I know for a fact, a lot of my trading, for example, if I buy Google, I don't plan to sell that for the next number of years. It's almost like a one-time purchase. If I want to allocate 10 grand to Google or 5 grand or 1 grand, whatever it is, I buy it once and I let it go, right? Now, what happens is even on the basic plan, even if I wanted to, let's say, dollar cost average or add, every paycheck or every pay period, I wanted to buy more Google shares. Let's assume I put another $1,000 into the account. Again, Canadian dollars, I put, $1,000 into my TFSA. I still have to make this upfront conversion each and every time I go to purchase this. So the question I pose is, well, why not just leave it in Canadian dollars and then pay the 1.5% here? That could, in theory, actually provide me more flexibility because I'm not doing the math and converting money unnecessarily and then converting it back. I just have everything in Canadian, and when I want to purchase a stock, US stock, I pay the conversion fee. And of course, big point to this is that I would be saving, $10 per month or $120 per year by not paying for this feature. I saw online people saying this was like a misrepresentation or it was like a sly marketing move by Wealthsimple. I don't know if I'd go as far as saying that. I don't think that they're trying to, misguide Canadian investors, but I do think it gets misunderstood wrong. You hear all these no currency conversion fees, no Forex fees on trading. That is true, but you do still have to pay the initial one, meaning you're still paying it and the flow is very different. I got a question, actually one of our students, Aaron, who actually suggested I do this video. He did a bit of digging for me, which shout out to Aaron and the Investing Academy. Of course, guys, if you're in the market for courses and training and you like learning about this type of stuff, anything to do with the stock market as a complete beginner, check out the Investing Academy. That's our program down below where we work with Canadians, every single province, all over the place, tons of awesome people. But Aaron actually asked the question, well, if you are a dividend investor, does this come into play? Which is a really, really good question, right? If I'm going to buy US stocks, US dividend stocks versus Canadian dividend stocks, does this make more or less sense? He actually reached out to the chat for me and just wanted to say, I wanted to verify when I hold a US stock and it pays a dividend, do I have to pay a conversion fee? So example, I own Johnson & Johnson, or I own Procter & Gamble. They pay me a dividend. And I'm a basic member, do I have to pay this 1.5% additional fee to convert that back to Canadian dollars? Wealthsimple support says, no, you would not need to pay a conversion fee on dividends. Aaron said it gets transferred at the regular rate for the day into Canadian dollars. They say that is correct. Unless you have a Plus subscription, it means you would hold the USD and the US in a USD account, and the funds would be received in USD. Otherwise, the funds would be transferred back into Canadian dollars. Case in point being is that by being a Plus member, what that means is that your US dividends would come into the US dividend account. If you weren't a Plus member, those dividends would be converted back to the Canadian dollar account, but they're not tacking on an additional fee. Obviously, there'd be the Canadian US dollar exchange rate, obviously, but they're not tacking on additional fees every dividend you get. Therefore, the question was posed, well, does this give me a big advantage as a, investor, a dividend investor? Possibly not as much as you may think, just because it just depends on what currency you want to get this, the dividends in. Nevertheless, I wanted to go through this math because I think it is possibly enlightening, and a lot of people may have overlooked this. I'm not trying to bash Wealthsimple Plus because if you are a frequent trader, I think this could be great, and I think for a lot of people, they have a lot of benefit to this subscription plan. But I also think there's a lot of investors who paying this $10 a month may be unnecessary if they actually understand what's going on. I think, long story short, if you're a buy and hold investor, you guys do your own research, make your own decision. But my conclusion is that if I'm a buy and hold investor, I'm pretty cool with the basic plan. I don't need to pay $10 a month to have this feature. If I'm just going to be buying the occasional US stock, I'm happy to just pay those one-time conversion fees. I would even argue possibly, there are other platforms out there if you're going to be a heavy US stock investor that you may want to look at other than Wealthsimple Plus. Wealthsimple in general. If you are an investor who will frequently trade, and again, these little dots I indicate, this is where the money is saved. If you're going to be jumping in and out, well, then it makes sense. Pay the initial conversion fee up front, do all your trading, sells, buys, And again, this is like a bearish case scenario because it's unrealistic that you're going to sell your, withdraw the entire account. I just wanted to kind of display it so you get the full picture. In that case, it's awesome. And of course, if you are a Canadian investor, you only plan to buy Canadian stocks, Canadian ETFs, CDRs for that matter, Canadian Depository Receipts, which are all Canadian products that trade on Canadian exchanges. Well, then you don't have to worry about it. Definitely stay with the basic feature, because then you don't have to pay the $10 and you can go do that. And you can still get great US exposure as a Canadian investor. If you go out and buy VFV, for example, which is the S&P 500 ETF, that's still a Canadian listed product. You still buy that in Canadian dollars. A CDR, you go buy Costco CDR, Canadian stock, if you will, trades on the NEO exchange, but you get exposure to the company without having to actually make these conversion fees. So nevertheless, that right there is the video. And yeah, if you enjoyed, give it a thumbs up. If you're new, subscribe. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below about this math. Is this something that was new to you? Do you have an opinion on this? Very curious to hear what you have to say. If you are a new investor, I know I do have a bonus referral sign up something down in the description below. Either 2 free stocks, or you get a little sign up bonus when you sign up. That's a great way of supporting the channel if you did want to go for either the basic or plus. At the end of the day, I still think Wealthsimple, as I mentioned in my broker video at the beginning of the year, this is my go-to. Like, I actually just had, my wife just opened up a new account and she switched her investments from Questrade to Wealthsimple. So don't get me wrong, this isn't a bash in any way, shape, or form. It's still what I would say is probably for the masses the best place to go and the best place to start. But I just wanted to make sure people aren't unnecessarily paying for this feature if it's not what they entirely need. And that's really what it is at the end of the day. But hey, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, our Investing Academy is down below. Like I said, if you are new to the stock market and you want courses, training, support, community, a place to ask questions, like, again, Aaron, literally, we just had a phone call this week and these are my buddies telling me this is a good video. There's no videos out online on this. You should do it. I love the suggestion, and that's really what it's all about, is to kind of make these connections of people all across the country who want to learn DIY investing, and they want to do it in a structured way. They want to know step by step, what do I do, and get that foundation in place, because it's really, really important to know what you're doing in the stock market. And that is that first link down below if you'd like to go check that out. That is the Investing Academy. Last but not least, if you aren't already on the Blossom app, I would highly encourage you guys to get on there as well if you're a Canadian investor. We just passed over 10,000 users, which is freaking awesome milestone. In fact, we're actually at 12,000 users. So this thing is kind of starting to take off, and we'd love for you to be a part of that as well. Completely free app to join and to take part in. That is down in the description or the pinned comment down below. But as always, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.